Hello, here is a request video how to battle depression. I got the request like yesterday. I figured I'd do it since I'm in the car and I remembered to do it. Excuse me. I don't really, personally, I don't, I think I get depression a lot less than the average person. I do get it maybe an hour, two or whatever a month. You know, it's kind of like when you wake up, and when I get it when I wake up and I've been doing something, like when I get too enveloped in my work and I'm up all night long and stuff, and then I kind of feel like, oh my God, like, is this what life is all about? So I think the best way, one good way to battle depression is try to be a diurnalist. Be up during the day. That helps me. Get up at the crack of dawn. Get up at 6 when the sun comes up, and as soon as the sun goes down, go to bed. When you live days where you're up all day during the day when the sun up, you're up with the sun, you feel like you accomplish a lot more. So that by the time like noon comes around, you've done so much. So you feel like, and then by the time at the end of the day, you're like, oh wow, I did a really productive day. Whereas if you get up at 1, like I did today, even if you're up the same amount of hours and you go to bed at 1, you still feel like you're playing catch up all day, and you feel like you didn't get as much done. And then you're up at night and you're not getting the sun, and you're by yourself, and you kind of feel like you're in this like hole, like you're in this like tomb or something. So yeah, I think being a diurnalist is a lot healthier than being a nocturnalist. I should do a video just about that. Another thing that really helps with depression is diet. I find that when I've been eating just pure food, like just oatmeal. See, when I have usually oatmeal, a can of fruit, a cup of oatmeal, a can of fruit, and, a scoop of protein powder for breakfast. And then for lunch, I would have like, a can of vegetables. And then for dinner, I'd have a couple cans of vegetables, a can of beans or something, beans and rice. And when I eat nothing but that, and I've gone a few days and that's all I eat, and that mixed with exercise, and it doesn't have to be that much exercise, just like, like an hour of exercise a day, like if you do an hour yoga class a day or something like that, then I notice that I'm like the happiest person in the world when I just sit there and I just feel healthy, and I eat, and the cool thing about eating with canned food is I eat exactly as much as I need. Like if I find, a certain time of day comes around and I'm like, and I get a little bit hungry, I just have a can, just one can. That's like 180 calories if it's vegetables, 140 calories. And, and so I'm just eating the perfect amount, and I'm just happy just being there, being fit. Just being healthy and fit is all you need, literally. Like those sadhus out there in India who just do yoga all day long and beg for their food and just eat enough, just to survive. They're perfectly happy, and I think they serve as a great inspiration for everybody else. Just because they're physically happy, physically healthy. So yeah, look at your diet. If you're living off of like potato chips and ice cream and coffee all day long every day, that could be the reason. Especially if you're mixing that with nocturnalism. So yeah, be a diurnalist and have a good diet, and you're probably going to be good. Now, another thing that can cause depression is if you're feeling like you're not accomplishing anything in life, like you're stuck. I think a lot of people in this world, probably 95% of the people in this world, are kind of like nons. And, you know what I mean? Like every once in a while you'll meet, now this is kind of the extreme, but every once in a while you'll meet somebody who just doesn't do anything. They're just not interested in anything. You're like, let's go for a hike up there. Oh no, I don't do that. Oh, okay, well let's, like what are they don't have any hobbies. They don't do anything. All they do is, but they have to do something. So it's usually something really repetitive and, boring. Like they play video games all day long every day, or they watch TV all day long every day or something, and they never leave the house. And people like that, I don't think, are very happy, because you kind of get stuck, and when when anything gets stagnated, it gets unhealthy. If you were to block up a river and create a dam, it would become it would become a place that wouldn't be safe for even, beavers to swim around in. So, but I think 95% of us suffer from that to some degree. I don't. I'd do anything. But most people, if if you're like, hey, yeah, you should go live in your van or something, or go bike touring or go camping, they're just like, oh, nah, I don't do that. I don't do that. Why? I just don't, and try to like at least consider getting out of that and doing something and developing a hobby, because that'll kind of get you moving again, like whenever something, like power depends on movement, like I guess an analogy would be the spinning of the earth creates the magnetic field. If the earth were to stop spinning, there would be no magnetic field. Electromagnetic field depends on the thing spinning around, movement, and so when you move, you'll generate energy. And like for me, if I'm sitting on the couch all day long, like doing like high concentration stuff on my timeline, or maybe I'm lazy and I'm not getting any exercise, I'll be yawning all day like this, and I'll be having to get 10 hours of sleep. If I'm riding my bike 50 miles a day on the rollers while I'm working, then I'll need only 8 hours of sleep and I won't be yawning. Like I'll have more energy by expending more energy, and it's like that, in general in life. So if you get I think most depressed people, they just don't have hobbies. If you get a hobby, or if you have, and especially if you get a hobby that's not like a stagnant hobby, that's this hobby that you do just to pass your time, like playing video games. I mean, because you can call that a hobby, but I mean like a hobby that actually does something, like me, my hobby, I like it to be a job, but hobby, I don't make any money at it. So like, it's my hobby, it's working on my timeline, but it's a hobby with a goal. The goal is to finish the timeline, everything that ever happened. And the positive result is a map of history that the whole world can look at and benefit from. So, as that thing develops and I look at it, at its higher developed stages, I get really excited. I go, man, this is going to be so cool. And that's what fills me with the most amount of joy. And, there's no way I could be depressed if I'm working on my timeline all day, every day, and I'm watching it grow, and I'm doing that during the day, and I'm eating healthily. Yeah. Like I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to, I don't need to be going to the parties or, going mountain biking or going traveling or any of that. Or even educating myself in any other way. That's enough. But, balance is a good thing to avoid having depression. Like me, I would be even happier if I were to work on my timeline, be a diurnalist, get exercise every day, and live in a life of balance, as like, have my, have like my daily news show that kept me having balance, because then I would keep in touch with the news and educate myself into stuff other than just history. And then, I mean, and if I was like hanging out with my mom like every like couple of weeks or whatever, like doing moderate socialization, something like that. So that keeps you happy. So I think most people, when they get depressed, they just I think the main thing that the depression revolves around is the physical. Like if your body is depressed, it can drag your whole psyche down. So you got to keep your body healthy. But I think I think the big thing that holds you down, also brings you down, is, I guess, work. If you're at work and your work is taking up all of your time, and you feel like you're doing that all the time, and all the people around you are grumpy, that can take somebody down big time. If everybody around you, all of your workmates, are grumpy just like you, yeah, that would drive me crazy. Now, to deal with that, I think listening to audiobooks. Just go and listen to audiobooks if you're in a job that, like if you're in a factory work, or some kind of job where it's just task and you can listen to audiobooks, take advantage of that and realize that there's a lot of jobs that you can't do that at all. You know, even the really high paying jobs, especially the really high paying jobs, you know, like doctor, lawyer, this kind of stuff. Those people have to be, or high concentration jobs, you know, those people have to be thinking all the time and talking to people, and you can't listen to an audiobook. But pretty much every other job you can, even like a cash register at a store, you know. You just pop out the earphones when somebody comes, and then you pop them back in when you're just standing there. You have to get the go-ahead from the boss, and too bad. I mean, unfortunately, they don't let you do that a lot of the time, but they should, and so people should fight for it. You know, I made a YouTube video like 4 years ago where I said workers should let people listen to their audio books while they're at work. Because if you're doing that, you're moving forward. You're kind of multitasking, and I'm sorry, you're not kind of multitasking. You're multitasking, and you're there's movement again. You're moving forward. You're educating yourself, and taking advantage of that job that you have, and then you're also blocking out all of the grumpy people, you know, and you kind of have more control over the interaction that you can have with them. You know, you can have it limited and just like, you know, say, you know, hey, how's it going? And then as soon as they get snappy, you just put on your earphones. And you know, if you feel like you're working all the time, work less. Tell the people you want a lighter shift. I think as the world gets more and more developed, people are going to get a lot more capable of having smaller shifts, especially if you have like so much unemployment. It should be easy to find workers. So then you could get a lot more workers to just work part-time, and then you just work a lot less, and then, you know, you make sure you have a lower overhead. I think internet without television is a lot cheaper than just internet. So get rid of your television. You don't need all that bullshit. You can entertain yourself with YouTube, you know, and that. And if you need to watch a movie, you know, like once a week, just go to the Redbox or something. You know, it's only $1.20, and cut out needless expenses. You know, like the soda pop and the potato chips and the candy. You know, that stuff adds up, man. That snack stuff gets expensive. So just cut that out, and then you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting healthier, and you're spending less money, so you don't have to work as much, and then you can have spare time to go run around the park and stuff. You know. And that's the kind of during the day, and that's the stuff that'll make you happy. And but yeah, if you can see, not everybody's smart enough really and creative enough to have a hobby, a creative hobby that with the end goal, you know. But I mean, there are other kind of there's plenty of hobbies that you can do that are good for people. You know, volunteering at the homeless shelter. I don't know, at the orphanage, or at the, you know, running event. Also doing social things, you know. Social things evolving. I think the new religion really is athletics. In the past, religion was kind of like the thing that would bring people together, groups together, and so they go to church, and then they'd have their church barbecue or whatever. But I think in the future, you know, instead of every Sunday going to this indoor building and watching the same dude say the same thing over and over again, I think the new kind of social thing to do would be to just go out to the local, you know, reservoir and participate in the weekend triathlon, you know. And then you can meet people that way, and then they have all kinds of events and stuff, you know. Or you could, you know, and then you could become involved in it and volunteer for it, and you know, just, you know, show up at all those like social events and volunteer for that. That could be like a hobby that people who don't have like the imaginative intelligence to kind of do their own thing. Like me, I could be doing things the rest of my life. Like if it wasn't as soon as I'm done with my timeline, I'd like to make like a political map, you know, like your political views all written out in a chart, so that you just, you know, you would just click on one page and go, oh, okay, this is what this guy's about. Just boom, right? Like that's what I wish all politicians would have. That'd make life a lot easier. But people are, always making it more and more apparent. There's a website called, Gary Johnson was talking about. You go to it and you put in all of your like ideas, your political opinions, and then it'll just point you to the candidate who's most in line with what you believe. And then they have another one called PolitiFact, which has all the different, well, not all of them, but maybe like 10 different politicians, and it has all the things like the percentages of what they say that's true and not true. And so as we go forward in the future, stuff's getting more and more transparent, and which is going to end up, is when it gets into politics, end up improving the economy, and then people will be able to only work a few hours a day, a couple hours a day, and then they can spend the rest of their time, having fun, going out there and exercising, mountain biking, all this kind of cool stuff. And yeah, there's no way you're gonna be depressed if you do all that. If you have activities, I've never heard of somebody who's like a doer, who's always doing stuff, lots of different activities, and who's or an athlete or something who gets depressed. If they do get depressed, it's because they had an injury and then they got addicted to sleeping pills or something, and that screwed up their body. If you keep your body healthy and you keep yourself active and busy, there's no way you're going to get depressed. Depression comes from stagnation and from not feeling of being stuck. It's kind of like when you're not doing anything, and then you kind of that's when the clouds come, and dark clouds everywhere. Oh no. Well, what I have to do is move, and then the clouds will go away. Like the centrifugal force of yourself moving dissipates them. So stay busy. I guess this is along the same lines of what to do for stress at work. Somebody sent me a request video, what to do for stress at work, and just focus on something that have a life that the more you try, you see the results immediately. That saying, you get what you get back what you put out. When you're doing something where you're trying and you're every day and working every day, you can immediately feel the results, and that kind of keeps you. It's that give and take, that spinning around, creating the electromagnetic field. That's what gives you it's like the more you work and you do that, you're immediately creating happiness for yourself, and that's what will keep you, keep you happy. Like me, I'd die of boredom if I went walking, if I was a walker, because it's just one pace. It's like you're not even moving. But I love riding because you go as fast as you push on the pedals. So like you're pushing on the pedals, and then you stop pushing, and then you push really hard and you go faster. So you can just push as hard as you can, and then you go as fast as you can, and you feel like you're always moving. It's kind of like you're surfing. You're moving on something that's moving. You're moving down the road, but the speed is also going up and down. So your speed is also moving. So you're moving on something that's moving. Kind of like you're surfing on a wave. You're moving on the wave, and the wave is moving on the beach. And and you're like automatic. You're constantly feeling the feedback. The results of your pushing on the pedals going forward. So yeah, that analogy with a hobby. If your hobby like my timeline, every day I see every day at the end of the day, the timeline is way cooler than it was at the beginning. Even though in the large scheme it takes me years and years to finish, and it's so big and there's so many pages, I can even in one day, I see this huge change. Every single day I see this huge, and so I'm constantly rewarded with my effort, and like if somebody likes painting, just paint and then give your paintings to your friends, and then your friends will go, oh wow, and then they'll have a hobby, like somebody likes to build bicycles up, and then he'll give you this bicycle, That's how people are. If somebody is always being helped out with somebody, they'll help you out. Well, every once in a while you'll meet those like sick people who just take and take, But you know, if you meet one of those people, you could feel like you're doing them a favor by, you know, giving them to so much to break them out of their trance where all they do is take, and they'll even start to give back, you know. And then so there's always whenever you create movement, whenever you create something, whenever you try, whenever you do, you're always, it's like the butterfly effect. You're always creating an effect that you're going to feel, that's going to come back to you. And it's going to come back to you immediately, you know, in the short term. And then also, if you keep doing it, it'll, you know, it'll just create this momentum that will make the whole world a better place. I think that's how to deal with depression. Starts with the body, and then, you know, and then living during the day and not being too much of a nocturnalist. And then, yeah, doing stuff, being a doer. You got to be a doer, man. Open up your mind. Don't be so shut off and be like, oh, I can't do that. Why? Oh, no, I don't know. What? Why? If you don't know why not, then you need to really double evaluate, you know. Break yourself out of the mold. Smoke a doobie. Smoke some marijuana, man. Seriously. Smoke some marijuana. Like, that's what I would do. That's something that's great for depression for me. Smoke weed at least once a month. For anybody. And then you'll go, oh wait, maybe I can live in my van. That would be cool. Maybe I should quit my job and get a job at doing that other thing. Yeah. Maybe I should apply for another job. Maybe I should move out of this town. You know? You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, The Little Engine That Could. And read the Little Engine That Could book. Okay.